We'll look here at another question involving domain and range, but this time with a rational function, one where we're dividing by x. And the question is, what is the domain and range for the function f of x is 2 over x squared minus 4, all plus 2. So I've already graphed that. You can see I've entered that into here. That's what I'm trying to work out the domain and range for. And this is what the graph looks like. So what I now need to try and figure out is, for the domain, what are the possible inputs I can have for this function? And if I look across here, I can see that there's a problem for this x value here. At this x value here, I have an asymptote. And it looks to me like we've got one at x is equal to minus 2. If this is 1, then that's going to be minus 1, and that's therefore going to be minus 2. So x is equal to minus 2 is an asymptote, and therefore for my domain I would say that x cannot be equal to. So x is not equal to negative 2. And on the right hand side I can see I've got plus 2, so for the domain I would say x is not equal to 2. Any other value for x is going to be okay because the graph is drawn for all other values. So x is an element of the real numbers apart from it can't be equal to minus 2 or it can't be equal to 2. For the y values, for the range, I can see again that y can take any value apart from this one going across here. And that's at y is equal to 2. So I would say for my range, y is not equal to 2, but otherwise y is an element of the real numbers. Now, these values were quite easy to read off, but if you were struggling to see where the asymptotes were, the vertical ones we could maybe track down by using our table function. So if we go table, split screen table, whenever I see that for a given x value it says undefined, I know that that's an asymptote. So I can see that at minus 2 I've got undefined, therefore x equals minus 2 is my asymptote. So for my domain x is not equal to minus 2, and also x is equal to 2 is an asymptote, so on my domain x is not equal to 2. That's the only two places where it says it's undefined. If it wasn't an integer value, then I would need to go into menu, table, and then edit the table settings so that the table step wasn't going up in 1s, but maybe it was going up in 0.5s or 0.1s, and hopefully that would help me to track down where it's saying that it's undefined and therefore where my asymptote is. If we remove that split, so table, remove table, we then also need to think, well, how could I work out where my horizontal asymptote would be if it wasn't quite as obvious as it is in this case? And I would use a different method for this. I would use the trace function. So if we go on to graph trace, what we can see is that basically the horizontal asymptote is the value that we're getting closer and closer to as we tend towards infinity. So as our x value gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, what does y seem to be getting closer and closer to? So let's just try putting in a value, let's say, of 10. And you can see there that the y is 2.02. So we seem to be getting close to 2. And let's now try 50. And you can see, well, actually, it's rounding it to 2. It's not actually equal to 2, but it's telling me it's 2. And if I carry on even further, let's put a massive number in. You can see it's again saying 2. So it's pretty clear that as we're going bigger and bigger and bigger on our x values, we're getting closer and closer here to 2. And that's a pretty good indication that y equals 2 is going to be our asymptote.